Welcome to another episode of the CyberSec Migrant Podcast. In today's episode, we sit down with a dynamic duo who are not only partners in life, but also in the world of technology and cybersecurity. They've made it their mission to empower the next generation of cybersecurity professionals by offering hands-on, real-world training to help individuals build the skills that matter the most in today's digital landscape. So whether you're just starting your journey or you're looking to level up, their insights are pure gold. Don't miss this conversation packed with practical tips, career advice, and stories from the front lines. Welcome to this episode of the CyberSec Migrant Podcast. So hello and welcome again. Like I said, today we've got a very interesting episode we're going to be talking about. Today we're going to be focusing on upskilling in cybersecurity, training the next generation of experts, because there's so much that's been going on. The industry is changing very drastically and we need to understand what it means to stay relevant in the industry. And today I've got I call them the powerhouse couple of cybersecurity. They are a tag team, both, professionally and otherwise, and they do a great job in the cybersecurity space. So I want to invite my guests for today, Dr. Mukhtar Lasisi and Mrs. Sulia Lasisi, to the CyberSec Migrant. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much. It's a big honor to be here with you. And yeah, you're doing
and
in this space too.
Yes, it's interesting. I was telling someone recently, it's not very often you find a couple who are in the same field who are doing great things like this. So I think it's very good because then you can feed off of each other's energies as you do that.
Yeah.
But let's just start from the very beginning. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you how you met. That's a different conversation. But I'm going to ask you, how did you get into the industry together? Was it together? Was it by fate? How did it happen? Who wants to go first?
Okay, faith has a part, I guess, has something to play in everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say it's more by design.
Yeah.
By design. So I know you don't ask us about how we met, but
if you want to share, we'll listen. We like love stories.
I'll just say, like, very early on, way back, we knew that we wanted to do something together. Because again, I grew up from that background where it needs to be a family thing. It's family business. I'm just used to, and we both agree that at a point in life we need to find something to do together, right? I've always been a tech person. All my degrees, my experience has always been in tech. That managing technology, doing security, managing innovation, whatever that looks like, system administration, network. I've always been a tech guy, right? It's not the same for her. I'll let her say a bit about our home background, and we can take that into how we got into cybersecurity together. So, do you want to say a little bit about your home background?
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Thank you for having us, Femi. So my background is completely different. I was in the medical science field. I did biochemistry back in uni, and I worked in lab for a long time in hospitals and generally in the healthcare environment. And living UK and coming to Canada, I wanted to still pursue something in the healthcare environment. I wanted to do medicine actually. Yeah, I wanted to do medicine. I love the doctor title, and I wanted to do that. And I explored medicine. Was going to be a long route for me. I don't want to be away from my family. Then I explored PharmD. At the same time, it wasn't going to give me what I wanted. And I just decided to rest that case. And the good thing is, I think me transitioning into IT, it made that easier because it really allowed me to explore my options. And I was satisfied that, you know what, I think it's time to let go of the
The dream of being a doctor.
Yeah. Maybe next slide,
It's not too late.
It's not too late, yeah. I was saying it, now I'm doing my MBA. Maybe we'll see. Maybe I'm going to pursue my PhD.
And then you will be a doctor.
Yeah.
So you know where that came from? Adam is a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
They have a hospital that has our name
Okay.
on it.
Okay, that explains it. I know. growing up in Nigeria, it was always you're either a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, or
Yeah,
like my friend
exactly.
says, it disgrace in the family. If you had all those things. So it was very interesting. I can totally understand that. I wanted to be a doctor, but
So
man, I don't think I
she,
can work as a doctor. So
Yeah.
no, not me, not for me.
No, still I know. I
So
still love
I
the
guess, but
industry.
so back to the how we got into cyber, how it became that we were both in this space. So when we moved to Canada, she actually went to college to study. I can't remember exactly what it was,
Something
but
related
IT,
to IT.
computer technology or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I think that's my degree. Computer,
Something computer
computer technician.
technician.
Or,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
technician. Yes.
So that was what she studied, which, in my opinion, was a good
Way to start. Yeah.
way to start. Understood networking. She could actually, I don't know if you can still do it now, but she can actually architect a whole like enterprise network
Yeah.
at the time, and it was good. She landed her first job. She did it for
Still
2
in the
years.
yeah.
Still now, she got a job in
Yeah.
healthcare
Still in
as a
healthcare.
system administrator.
okay.
And like healthcare was following me everywhere I go.
So she did
Yeah.
that for 2 years or thereabout, right? 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was like, you know what? This is it's too repetitive. I need something
Yeah.
different. I need something better than
I
this.
remember when I resigned and I told my manager like, I've outgrown this position.
Yeah.
Like, I understood the system without actually being there. I can tell them where to go without saying it.
And she's
You know,
that smart.
you know what? So like, I've done this for too long.
You
I
know,
think it's time to move.
I remember she was on mat leave, and the person that took over from her, she would be on the phone without seeing the system and telling the person, go here, do this, this is here. I'm like, what? And it's like different systems, like 3 or 4 different systems, right? Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
Yep.
So,
that was when the decision came. And he has been whispering cybersecurity into my ears for then, right? And realizing that I could use my previous experience, even in the desk
yeah,
healthcare,
okay.
especially privacy and data protection was a big part of what I do, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and even Nigeria, right? And me understanding that and how that fit into cybersecurity, then I decided to, and that was the beginning of my journey
Yeah,
into
that
the
was
field. Yeah.
the beginning, and it's interesting. I like to tell our story because it's interesting how how you don't know how much your background can help you in this space.
Yeah.
How
True. True.
diversity is really what we need in cybersecurity. Because I remember us putting our resume together, and of course she was looking for entry level roles. Like again, she didn't know how much she knew at the time, and we had about 3 interviews, I think.
Yeah.
3 interviews. She got 2 offers, all analyst and specialist roles. And one of them came and said, you know what? 2 directors came and said,
Yeah,
we
they
interviewed you.
yeah.
You're not an analyst. You're a lead.
Yeah, we're going to find the lead role.
You can lead our team. You can lead our analysts. It's a consulting firm, and they made her the risk management lead. That was our first role in
that was my
cybersecurity.
first role.
And again, yeah, there you go. You're a leader already in this space. They acknowledge the fact that your experience counts, which it does count. You're talking about PIA. You're talking about all these regulations that you were a big part of making some of those companies compliant. So again, it all counts. So that's the beginning of our journey. And again, I was already in the space. I was already in the space at the time. It's interesting the fact that I was doing it and I didn't know I was doing it. You remember?
Yeah.
So I had a title, I had a job. My title was senior security, no, risk management and security operations program manager. And on my head, I said, no, this is not cybersecurity enough.
That's big title with no role.
That's cybersecurity, interestingly enough. But the reason I felt that, and I'll tell you, so how I got into cybersecurity, I've always been a tech guy. And I never considered cybersecurity as a field for me. Until a friend that we did masters together way back called me and said, Mukhtar, what are you doing? Why are you not considering gigs in cybersecurity, in consulting? And I was like, no, I'm not a hacker, I'm not anything. How can I consider your role in security? He said, I know you, I've known you over 10 years now. That was back then. I know you've been doing cybersecurity. I said, no, what are you talking about? Then he got angry, was so angry, he said, you're missing out. He just sent me a bunch of materials. And I started reading. Like, wait, this is what I've been doing since forever. This thing, if this is cybersecurity, I've been doing cybersecurity. And I said, I'll try my hands on certifications. And I passed them. The first one I did, I think 20 minutes. I finished in 20 minutes. I think I was ISO 27001. That was my first certification, lead implementer. Less than 30 minutes, I passed it. I was like, wait, what? This can't be right. And I said, okay, I'll try my hands on applying to jobs. I just started throwing out applications. Then I interviewed for a CISO role and the role I talked about. The role I said I took. And they both made me offers. I was like, wait.
Okay, something must be happening here that I don't know.
These guys are joking. We had a conversation. I told you the things I've done. And then you feel like that's enough to be a CISO? Okay. I couldn't take it again. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have anybody to say beyond. The guy was in the UK again. He had his own job to do. He couldn't give me much. I was like, how can I take a CISO role? Come on. It can be. I'm a newbie. I got in. So the role was a senior risk management and security operations program manager. That was the title. And I started. I was like, okay, this is not strange.
I've done this before.
I was an innovation manager. Big part of what I was doing was protecting IP, intellectual property, right? It's information security. I led a GDPR readiness program. I've done a lot of things. But again, not the title, but I did all these things. So it just didn't seem different. I led security incident response way back, even as far back as 2011, right? Back in Nigeria, and it didn't seem like 2012. But again, it wasn't cybersecurity. So when I started doing that, and on my head I said, no, this cannot be cybersecurity. This is not cybersecurity enough. I enrolled in a boot camp.
Okay. Everybody goes to a boot camp. Everybody does.
I said, I already had the job. Like, I had already done the job for a good number of months. And I enrolled in a boot camp because I was doing the job well, all sorts of credits on the job. Because what I knew, the experience I brought in, majority of the people in that space, they have it. But on my head, I said, it just felt like I didn't know much. The people didn't know much. I was just leading them astray on my head. Right? So I enrolled in that boot camp. Like, come and show me the way. Show me. I don't know. I want to learn. I don't want to, like, I got in there first day. It's like, what? This is entry level stuff. No way. I said, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. I had done this thing way back 2011, 2012. So I dropped it. And again, I couldn't take my money back. I just said, you're looking for a way? Will you enroll in this program?
Yeah, then I took over the program.
Then she took over my enrollment in that program.
Okay.
And so, okay, I'll pause there. So that's how this journey started. Let's pause. I know we'll spend a lot of time on that.
Hey, CyberSec Migrant listeners. If you're enjoying the show, help us spread the word. Share the CyberSec Migrant Podcast with your friends, your colleagues, and your network. It's the best way to help others discover our awesome content and to join the conversation. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and any other place where you get your podcast, so you never miss an episode. And do hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Your support helps us keep bringing you more valuable content, insights, and stories, and all these tips from the world of cybersecurity. And thank you for tuning in. And now, let's get back to today's episode. Yeah, which is fine. It was quite interesting listening to both your journeys. And one of the things I was able to pick out from both your stories is the fact that, one, there's never a straight line to get into cybersecurity for everyone. And I've always said this before. Cybersecurity is a journey where we all have different origins, even though we end up at the same point. And even within cybersecurity, there's different areas, there's different spheres. You could be privacy, you could be asset management, you could be software development, you could be identity. There's a whole bunch, but we all have different origins. But what I find interesting about both your stories is you talk about how you started, there was training, there was learning, there was a thirst for knowledge, which is very important in our industry. I tell people, if you want to survive in this industry, you have to be ready to learn a lot constantly. And then you talked about the bootcamp you attend, and you realize that, well, okay, this is not for me. So I just wanted to ask, how important would you say is things like training and upskilling? Because from your experience, how important is that And what are some of those trends you're seeing that, particularly if you want to stay relevant in industry today, you have to continue to learn in those areas? What would you say?
Yeah. Can I start with the training?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So we talked about learning the other time, and one thing I realized is that the bootcamp did their part, starting in this field, but I did my part, and there was guidance from him, right? So continuous learning in this, I usually tell people this: if you want to come into the cybersecurity field and you're not ready to learn, don't bother coming. A lot of people hear the big money and they just think, oh, once I do a training or I do a certification, I will be fine. We do consultation calls sometimes. I say, you hear people saying, I've done this certification, I've done that certification. Like, that does not translate into knowledge. It does not
Yeah.
automatically give you the job. The fact that you have CISA does not mean you automatically become an auditor. No. This field, it's not just learning at once, continuous learning. It's very important. Things are changing every time. You need to continuously improve yourself. You can't stop.
Absolutely.
If you stop, you'll be left behind. Right?
Yeah.
So it's very important. I don't know if you want to check.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Even thankfully, you are also in the space.
Yeah.
You know that. I'll say something. Say the space we're in, what we are protecting, keeps evolving every time. Your company's objectives evolve every day. The technology they use to achieve the goal, the objectives they want to achieve, evolve every day. If you're not evolving as the person that will protect those assets, you'll be left behind. What are you protecting?
Exactly. Nothing.
Nothing.
The concept remains the same.
Yeah.
I always tell people, the concept remains the same. How you achieve the goal changes based on the environment you find yourself. There's no one size fits all approach, but how do you know? It's by continuously learning. It's by continuously improving yourself and finding out more. Either you're learning about your immediate environment, you're learning about your business, or you're learning about new technology or new security ways, new ways of securing the business you're with. You have to continuously learn something. But I've seen, again, we run a training program. People will come in. The first question is, what certifications do you offer?
Yeah.
I have heard that before too as well. I have heard that before.
I'm like, okay.
And then
we are not a certification company.
Or what tools
we
should
teach
I
you
learn?
to be job ready.
Yeah.
That's what we do. They're two different things.
Yeah.
You need to know that. You need to know that. They're two different things.
Yep.
And then they say, oh, can you tell me the certifications I will get? Am I going to get CISM or CISSP from your program? So there are programs that offer that.
That's not what we do.
It when you have the knowledge and the experience. Your job will pay for that. But you need to show something first, and that's what we give you.
Okay.
Like,
That's
I'm not too sure. That's okay. That's fine. If certification is what you're looking for, if CISM is what you want, which is absolutely fine. I know you get certification. 100% in this space, you cannot survive without certification. Yeah. But your certification does not exactly translate to experience.
And even knowledge.
Exactly. So, I'm taking that to the importance of skilling and learning.
Yeah.
Because having 100 certifications does not translate to you knowing the job. Upskilling is really what's new. Yes, you can take certification to kind of certify that knowledge. That's fine. You can certify that knowledge or that experience, but it doesn't automatically translate to it. There are so many ways people pass certifications these days, and I laugh.
They're on LinkedIn.
Yes, I was just going to say, so I got on that one last week, and I actually had a conversation with her, and I was like, should I out her or should I not? I'm still thinking about it. But speaking about training, that's something that I always found very interesting. Because I've gone through several myself, and I like how you mentioned that you actually are also involved in providing training. Yeah. And I like the angle you came from. You're not providing training for a certification, but making someone job ready. Yeah. So my next question is sort of double-barreled in a way. So one of the first part I want to ask is, what methods have you found most effective in making sure that your trainees, your training participants, actually get what they come for. So what methods are most effective? And on the flip side of that, what are the challenges you see, particularly with training? And I know you've mentioned some in our conversation already, but just a bit more elaborate. What are the challenges you see in trying to get people to upskill and train? So effective methods for training, challenges to those training methods as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me start. Okay, and I'll start from the method. You can take the challenges. I know you want to talk about that. So, okay, I'll just say a little bit about what our program looks like. So for us, it's more of learning by doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can learn the concept, or someone shows you how it's done. It's different from you actually getting the chance to do it yourself. Right. I say to people, if you do something once, even once, you should not forget. Then you can repeat the same process 10, 20, 100 times again. And you can talk about it because you have experience. That's what experience is about.
Yeah.
That's experience. It's different from knowledge. Right. You do something to a point where it just becomes like second nature. You do it without thinking about it. That's experience. Right? I'm not saying that you should just continue to repeat the same thing, but what I'm saying is, as much as possible, try to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
To me, that's the most effective way to learn. Okay, and I don't want to go into challenges. But let me just say this quick. So, what I find with people, even on our program, is say learning by doing. You must do this, right? A coach will show you how it's done. You have a background to leverage because there are certain people who take on in our program. A coach will show you how it's done. Do it. Come and get feedback. What we found over time is one person will take over the whole thing and do it from week 6 when they start the specialization to week 12, and others just listening. Like, you're not going to get anything this way. You see, that person doing it will take everything.
Yeah.
And when you not intentionally say, okay, can you take it? Oh no, I'll just watch. Oh my God. So, what are you doing to yourself? So for me, the most effective way to learn is to do.
Yeah.
Is to do. That's when you know, am I doing it right? Am I making mistakes or whatever? Like, that's when you know. That's when you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So learning by doing, but I don't want to say unfortunately, but interestingly enough, a lot of the people don't know what to do. They want to earn. They want the money. They want the big money promise. It's 6 figures. Yes, cybersecurity is a 6-figure space. It is. It is. And we say it in our advert, we'll get you job ready for a 6-figure career. But employers don't pay for nothing. They pay for value. I'll let you take it from there. In terms of
Yeah, so do you want to add to that, Leah? Yes.
Yeah, I think if we have to talk about the challenges, so we can use the whole time.
I'm telling you, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, there is a lot of challenges out there, both from people offering the training and even people that are trying to get into this space. One thing that I've seen is a lot of people don't do their research. That's one challenge, right? There's a lot of advertisement out there. We've seen training that will say they will get you ready within 45 days, so number of days, right? And you don't, or other training says you don't need certifications, you don't need any degree, you don't need this, you don't need that, you don't need to be technical, right? Which we said you need to maybe less technical, but you need to be
technology aware,
right?
At least be technology
You need to
aware.
understand technology because that's the space. Most of the things that we use revolve around technologies. Coming back to challenges, one thing I've seen is people don't do their due diligence. And I don't blame trainees at times because different training offer different things. There are trainings that certification focused. There are others that work experience focused. There are some that you're just going there to know, learn the knowledge, right? But people usually think that once you learn these things, automatically, boom, you have to get the job.
A
And
$200,000 job.
yes, yeah, automatically you learn the job. And another challenge that I've seen is in terms of expectation, the work that needs to be done. I went to a boot camp,
Yeah.
but I know the amount of reading that I did. He was
Yeah.
there, he gave me that practical knowledge, right? Because we're able to walk through some projects. I did projects with him, right? And I did a lot of reading, a lot. I went to college to study computer, to be I've done system administrator. I understand identity and access management, I understand privacy and data protection then, but I still have to read and learn. People hear the big money, but they are not ready to put in the work that is required. They just think it's a walk in the park. Like you said, employers they don't pay for nothing. They pay for value. You see this big money, they're not just going to say, we'll give you, then you can learn on the job. No, you have to show something.
You know what I remember?
Yeah.
When I was doing our mentorship session, I mentioned to a few people that I turned down a 180K job. And they're like, oh my God, what are you saying? I was like, okay, that's the kind of job I want. I was like, if you work for it, you will get it.
You will get it.
It's not. And you know the funny thing? One person, at least I know one person on that call that did that listen.
Yeah, that listened.
She got almost a 200K job. She listened. And again, this person will sit down here and tell you the same thing. It's not a walk in the park. I guess I'll just steal that from you.
Yeah.
It's not a walk in the park. She did her job.
Yeah.
She did.
And
I give her credit for it. At a point, she delivered a free certified in cybersecurity training. You would not believe that this person just started
in this
space. How much knowledge she has today as we speak. Like again,
that's where we talk about the passion for the job.
Exactly. The passion,
Thank you. Every time she talks to me and she says, "Oh, you changed my life." No, I did not change your life. You changed your life.
I just showed you where to go.
Exactly. I can show you what to do, and if you don't do it, nothing. There's nothing I can do about it. So
this is the expectation needs to be set right. I met someone was it last week or this earlier? Yeah, last week. And the person come on a consultation call and they say they're in cybersecurity field already, right? And they're looking for someone to apply to jobs for them. You'll be surprised they ask people, are you going to get me a job? No, all sorts of questions like, no, what if I get you the job? Am I going to do the job?
To do the job for you.
Exactly. So we've seen all sorts. We've seen people say, "Oh yeah, they said they will do the job for me. I just need to take the job." So I've heard some companies actually take interviews on behalf of their students.
Oh, I've heard that before too.
That's interesting. So they take that job. They're not able to do the job. They will most likely lose that job. What happens next?
Of course. Yeah.
They tick that box that, oh yeah, we got someone a job and that's it. They move on. And I say to people on our program, once you join us, you join our community. It's not about, oh, your 12 weeks is done, bye-bye, we don't want to have anything to do. If you choose not to come back, that's fine. But you'll be on our platform. We have monthly sessions where we still discuss what you're going through on the job. You run into a challenge, we support you. It's okay, you're starting off, you will run into challenges. I still have a community I run to. Everybody does. We don't know it all.
Yeah,
right? We don't know it all. And that's where continuous learning comes in.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Even someone that just started today might have seen things you haven't seen in your whole career. And they'll be able to offer you advice. So
okay. Yeah.
Again,
okay, so let's change tack there briefly. Yeah. Let's change tack. Just talking about, so we've talked about so many challenges, so many, those things that, we see every day. Now, as people who are specifically in that training space, what I would say is, how do you see it? Because once upon a time, it was all about, boot camps, or first, no, it used to be go to school and get a degree. Then it became a lot of boot camps now. Now, for some people now, it's actually just do all the certification focused training or do the boot camp. So what do you see as the future of training, particularly in the cybersecurity space? How do you think it's going to evolve over the next few years, particularly with the rise of things like generative AI and all of that, and how that can feed into all of these things, and what innovations or changes do you think would have the biggest impact, on that future of cybersecurity education?
Interesting. So again, you talked about AI, and I said, yeah, and again, we've all been talking about AI. It's interesting that it was 2 years ago that I started looking into AI policies. I didn't even know it would become this today.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it has evolved, and I think it would evolve even a lot more than it has already in the coming months and years. That's something that I feel like we need to pay a lot of attention to in the security space because right now there's so many concerns. It just reminds me of cloud back then when I was in my PhD research. One of the big things. Smaller businesses didn't want the cloud. It was oh no, our information. Because again, at that time it was more information was what we were selling. It wasn't
Yeah.
openly available like it is today, right? So smaller businesses didn't want to put it out there because they just wanted to keep it in on-prem. Our network is more secure in our space, right? But again, look at us today. Cloud is everywhere. Everybody's using the cloud. So again, there's so many concerns. Again, that's because now there's cloud security. People are more aware of it. We are specifically looking at security in the cloud. That's the thing that if you don't know that today as a security person, you're probably not doing anything. You probably not find your way around cybersecurity. Same thing will happen with AI. I see that happening with AI as well. AI will
Okay.
control a lot of our OTs, our ITs, a lot of things. And if you don't understand AI security, as an add-on, at least as
You'll
an
be left
add-on,
behind.
Yeah,
you'll be left
left
behind.
behind,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in terms of training, I see when you look at how interviews go these days, and it's always been anyways, but more emphasis on it because companies are now more aware of people transitioning,
Yeah.
right? And people putting all sorts on their resumes are not able to defend it. So interviews are becoming more practical,
Yeah.
more technical.
Yeah. So true.
If you don't have that, you will struggle.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I'm seeing things and trainings that are not offering that practical experience
Experience.
that people can take into interviews, their people will struggle a lot.
Yeah. But I always say people should set their expectation right because I think people interpret things their own way. Like I said, there's some training that is certification focused.
True.
There's
You
some
need
that
to know
are
your
knowledge
business.
focused.
Yeah.
True.
So know what you're looking for and ask for the
Yeah.
curriculum. Ask what is the delivery method. Make as many research as possible and don't just assume. So I'll still put it back on the individuals, the professionals that are trying to transition into this
Yeah.
space.
So I guess my comment was more, I guess, balanced for both sides. If we as again, I say to people, the more we cooperate, the better for us. We as trainers, we also need to do our part
Yeah.
by providing
Yeah,
what's
absolutely.
actually
Absolutely.
required
Required, yeah.
to get into the space, right? Yes, we call them professionals on our end, but those that are transitioning, they also need to do their part by doing the work. But for those that are ready to do the work, make the right resources available
Resources
to them
available to them.
to make
True.
to transition successfully. Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Don't make trust.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this is not coming, and I don't think it would happen. But what I always say is, this space kind of needs some regulation, subtle or not. I've seen people come into these because they know that there's big money promised, and they know everybody wants to do cybersecurity today. I've seen people, not one person, come into our consultation calls, onto our consultation calls and ask, you know what, I have all these certifications and I train people as well,
Yeah.
but I've never done the job. So can your program give me the practical experience
And that's someone
to now start training my people? I was like, what? Are you joking? You're training people? Okay.
And you have no practical
You've
experience.
never even done the job.
That is very interesting. And I that's one of the things about our industry. I find that it's very forgiving, or well, no, that's not the word. It's very easy for people who are not in the field to come in and then take advantage of some of the loopholes there because, like you said, he's doing a lot of training for people, which is basically just regurgitating what he must have read in maybe an OSG or something.
Yeah. Someone told
That's
us
all he's
about
doing.
someone that is just the person is actually new to Canada, right? They went through a boot camp themselves and started their own training. I I said, what? Like, seriously?
And then you see them, they charge, I think most of them just charge $500 or 1,000
Yeah.
because again, they have nothing to lose. It's just giving you what they learned, what they got from the book.
Yeah.
And how you get to know them is they start to give examples from the textbook. They will not give you a practical, this is
That
what
they
you
worked
see.
on themselves.
You see situations like this. That's where you see.
From my experience,
Yeah,
this is how it's done.
This
right?
is exactly, the book says this, because textbook knowledge and real world knowledge, we all know they're different. They're different.
Totally.
The book says this, but in reality, this is how companies do it. A lot of organizations will see this is what you will see, right? That's the difference. But again, now the tricky part of it is it's hard for people on their own to know who is who.
Yeah, because they're new and
because they're new, they don't know what is what, right? Anyone can bamboozle any newbie to feel like
that's true. That's so true.
That's why I feel like I don't know, and I don't know what the right channel is. There's supposed to be like a form of regulation around trading.
Yeah,
to help
I agree.
Not throwing money away.
Because I remember an interview I did a few years ago. This is not my. I was on my. I can't remember. I did an interview a few years ago, and I remember somebody on the panel was like, "Oh, we've taken out your resume." So I was like, "Oh, we once." Because I kept on saying this like, "We once worked on a project. We did this and that," and he would then say, "I know you worked on it. What exactly did you do on the project?" Come on, I say, "What exactly did you do on the project?" I was like, "Okay, so maybe I should stop saying we and say exactly what I said." So, but the thing is, especially if you work on the job, you can't. For one of it, you can't fake it till you make it with our industry.
Yeah.
It's either you know what you did on the job or you don't. It's easy to regurgitate the OSG, yes, but it would I would know that you didn't do the job because I can tell there's certain things I want to hear which you're not telling me. So that's fine.
Absolutely.
So just taking that away then for now, because particularly, and I know that a lot of people who actually come into the training, usually people who are most of the time they're transitioning from a different career path into cybersecurity, right? And then they're looking for a trainer that will help them get a 6-figure salary ASAP. Now, that is possible, that is doable.
Yeah.
But if someone came to you today and said, "Hey, I'm looking to get into cybersecurity, I want to stay ahead of the curve, what advice would you give me? Are there some key skills I should take? Or is there some certification that I must take to, personally, I don't like saying take this certification. I'm a very certification agnostic person, but I have a few myself, but I don't think that the be all and end all of everything. But if someone asked you and said, "What am I going to do? What would you recommend? What skills should I have? What advice would you give them? What certifications would you ask them to take to sort of grow their careers in cybersecurity?"
Interesting. I always tell people start from where you are. What do you currently do? And that's how we do our consultation sessions, right? What do you currently do? Then what I help the person figure out is based on, for example, let's say someone that is doing procurement, supply chain.
Yeah.
I say to that person, you already belong to a space that we protect in cybersecurity.
Yep.
Now, can you leverage that domain knowledge to get into cybersecurity? That's where you start from. So start from where you are.
Absolutely brilliant.
Right? Now, what do you need to do? What does it look like in the cyber? What do we protect? How do we protect your space? You start that. Then you want to understand technology. You cannot, I'm not saying go and do A+. I'm not saying go and learn everything, learn cloud, become a cloud engineer. No. Understand the fundamentals of how technology works. Even if it's just the OSI model.
Okay.
The layers. That would help you a lot. You know that across every layer, there must be protection. So what protection obtains at this level, at that level? When you are assessing your vendor, that knowledge will come in handy.
Yeah, true.
And then understand risk. Of course, risk assessment is everything in security.
True. So true.
Understand risk, and then just take one framework. Make it your Bible. I'm not saying learn CIS, learn NIST. Take one framework and make it your Bible. Those things will be sufficient for you to start. Yeah. If you do your due diligence. To start, I'm not saying it's going to get you a 6-figure job tomorrow, but it will be sufficient for you to start. If you take that and you learn well, if you go to any interview and you have a solid resume, if you take it to any interview, you will be able to have a proper conversation with the person on the other side.
Yeah.
from your background.
I think that's what really matters the most. Do you want to add anything to that?
Do you have anything to
Yes,
add?
I think one thing I will add to that is keeping updated and also community.
Yeah.
This space is not
Yeah.
a space of a silo. You have to join, connect with people. LinkedIn is there. A lot of people post a lot of resources on LinkedIn. There was a time every now I don't really have time. I'm trying to get back to it. I decided to start posting terminologies. You'll be surprised how many people that is helping.
Oh
There's
yes.
a lot of technologies in this space, and people don't understand it. Even some of them, it's by me reading them up and tweaking them, just breaking it down. That is when it makes better sense to me also. So keeping yourself up to date, maybe reading blogs, following the relevant people on LinkedIn, not just going to check who's achieving one certification or someone that's just giving read what people are posting
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
belong to
Yeah.
a community, and don't
Yeah.
just be a silent member. Contribute, let people know you. When there's an opportunity, they can refer you to those opportunities. It's by participating and helping others while trying to learn. It's important even for your own growth yourself.
You're building your brand
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, and you're building a brand at the same time. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So now I know that both of you are involved, like you said, to use your words, in getting people job ready in the cybersecurity market, right? So if our listeners wanted to find you, find out more about your work, and follow your updates, maybe sign up, what's the best place they can? What's the best way they can reach you?
Interesting. I'll say first LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
a lot of space.
I guess once you search the name Mukhtar Assisi, only two people will come up.
Okay. I like that. I'm very sure.
And it's just
Yeah.
gonna be myself and her because she has my full name as her last name. So her
Yeah.
last name is
Okay.
Mukhtar
Okay.
Assisi. So I think both of us will come up. You can search us there. You can book a session with us. We don't charge for our sessions because first we want to make sure that our relationship for our consultation sessions. So you want
Yes.
to
Yes.
consult, you want to understand. Oh yeah, of course we charge for our training.
Yeah, that's
We don't charge our consultation sessions because
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
us it's more important that we see that there is going to be a mutual benefit there.
Yeah. It's the right
Yeah,
fit.
yes, you pay us for something, but we want to make sure that we can add value to you as well before we
Yeah.
can say, okay, let's do this, right? If all you need is just, oh, you have what it takes, do this, do that, and that, we'll give you on the call and off you go, right? Again, we don't expect you to come back and say, okay, I want more because again, it's our free time, right?
Yeah.
So that's one way you can connect with us. You can visit our website, it's marshalltech.ca. Marshall like martial art, tech
Yeah.
as a technology.
I will put that in the description down below for those who are
Oh, okay,
watching. It's
perfect.
going to be in the description down below to that website as well. So if you want to do that, we
Perfect.
can go
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can visit us there. You can go to our support. You can email us through support. One of our consultants will respond to you. But if you want to connect with us directly, LinkedIn is the place. We're on YouTube. We have
YouTube,
we
LinkedIn.
post a lot of videos and sessions on YouTube as well. I know this is going to be on YouTube as well. So yeah.
It definitely will be. So if you are looking for how to get started in the industry, if you're looking for how to get training, to be job ready, to be upskilled, you know exactly who to go to. Marshall Tech. That's who to go to. Like I said, there'll be a link in the description down below. So we've said a lot, and one of the reasons why I wanted to bring both of you on is because I've had people talk to me, a lot, particularly around training. I like somebody I was talking to recently. One of my mentees said, she told me a few months ago, about 6 months ago, that she was going to sign up for a boot camp somewhere, and she signed up. And then 3 months later, I think this is about 2 months ago, told me she did a boot camp, but she was disappointed because she didn't get what she was expecting. Going back to what you said about setting expectations properly, which is one of the reasons I said, okay, I'm going to bring some people who know a lot about training and what should be looking to get out of training to talk about that. So hopefully this is going to help her and the rest of the audience who are listening about, training and upskilling and getting yourself job ready in the cybersecurity market. But, we've said a lot, we've spent a lot of time. It's been going on, and I know we can continue on and on without stopping, but just in a minute each, final thoughts. What would be your very final thoughts? So to wrap up everything we've said today in a bow, 1 minute each, what would you say?
Absolutely. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, I'll try to keep it within 1 minute. So, yes, cybersecurity it's a space to be right now. It is booming because, and I don't think it would stop because technology keeps evolving, the risks keep evolving, companies
Mm-hmm.
keep, of course, regulations keep evolving. Companies need us every day to stay in business. So it is a space to be. It is indeed a six-figure career space. It could be seven figures or eight figures depending on how you handle it, right? But it's not going to come cheap. It's not going to come easy. Employers will not just hand you even $20,000 for nothing. You have to show value. So if you're going to get into trading, know what you're getting into. Know what you're getting. If it's for certification, that's where it is. If it's to prepare you and show you how the job is done, that's where it is. If it's to, again, like some people say, if it's to get you a job, then that's what it is again. I don't know how they work it. I don't know if you can share me. I would like to know. So if it's to get a job, then that's what it is. So be clear, know what you're getting into. But absolutely know that you need to play your part as well. If you're gonna, if that dream is gonna become reality for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you said everything I wanted to say. But just to add to it, set your expectation right. We have had a lot of people ask me if this space is going anywhere. Will it be a thing of yesterday? My answer is usually is so far. Companies still are keeping people's personal information, their health information, their financial information. We are still using technology. This space is not. This space have always been. I think COVID brought the whole thing to
Yeah,
to the bird, and attackers now are not that. It's not that sophisticated the way it used to
it's
be.
easy now to be an attacker.
Yeah. So cybersecurity is more than just a career. It's also to your personal life, right? Because
Yeah.
anyone can be a victim. So you just taking the knowledge in this space to protect yourself, to protect your family, definitely it's worth it.
Definitely worth it. And there you've had it. So cybersecurity is for everyone, not just for the big companies.
Yeah.
And anyone can do it, but to do
Everyone's
it, you
business,
must be
like we
ready
always
to
say.
do the work. You must be ready to do the work. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming on this episode of the CyberSec Migrant. I know we can go on. Maybe I will invite you back for another discussion to come and talk a bit more about it. Maybe talk a bit more about what you do at Marshall Tech. I think that might be very interesting to our audience. It was great to have you both here. It's been a very engaging discussion. Like I said earlier, I'm going to have some links in the comments down below, so you can follow both of them on LinkedIn. You can also go check out Marshall Tech and see what they do as well. And if you want to know all things about training and learning and how to upskill, this is the episode to listen to. So thank you very much to Dr. and Mrs. Lasisi for coming on. You're going to see, maybe you don't have a choice. You have to get that doctor. You don't have a choice. You're gonna have to get that doctor. So, but thank you both for coming on. It's been a very absolute pleasure to have you both on here. And for our listeners, let us know what you think. Put your questions down in the comments below, or send us some feedback. You can follow us on any of our social channels, our LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, or you can just put a comment, our response to the poll on this episode on if you're on Spotify as well. And until next time, this has been Femi on another episode of the CyberSec Migrant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.